Have you ever sat at a family gathering and realized how many more women there are than men? Especially once everyone gets a little older? Maybe it's a holiday dinner or a birthday party, and as you look around, you start to notice there's Aunt Linda, Grandma Rose, Cousin Mary, but Uncle Joe passed last year. Grandpa's been gone for a decade, and your older brother? He's already dealing with health issues. It's not just your family, it's happening everywhere. Across the world, women tend to outlive men, and not just by a year or two, sometimes by decades. Now, if you're a man over 60, this probably raises a few questions. And if you're a woman, you might be wondering what exactly gives you that edge, or more importantly, how to make sure it lasts. Either way, the question is the same. Why do women live longer than men? And what can we learn from it to live healthier, more vibrant lives, no matter our gender? In today's video, we're going to have an honest, eye-opening conversation about this. And let me tell you, this isn't about just quoting some science papers or tossing out random facts. This is about real life, real habits, and real change. We'll explore the habits, behaviors, biological differences, and even mindsets that give women the upper hand when it comes to longevity and what men can do to catch up. Let's start with something that might surprise you. From the moment we're born, women already have an edge. Statistically, baby girls are more likely to survive infancy than baby boys. That might sound like just a small difference, but it tells us something important. Even at the starting line, there's a built-in resilience in the female body. Some of this comes down to biology. Women have two X chromosomes while men only have one. And those X chromosomes, they carry a lot of important information for keeping the body running well. If one X has a glitch, the other can often compensate. Men don't get that backup copy. Over time, that makes a difference, especially when the body starts to age and systems don't recover as quickly from wear and tear. Now, I know what you might be thinking. All right, fine, women are born with a biological advantage. So what am I supposed to do about that now? The good news? Biology isn't destiny. A lot of what shortens men's lives has more to do with behavior than it does with chromosomes. And that means there's plenty we can change starting today. One major difference is how men and women handle stress and emotion. Think about it. Who's more likely to bottle things up? Who tends to say, "I'm fine," even when they're not? For decades, men were raised to believe that showing pain or fear made them weak. But here's the kicker. Holding everything in doesn't make you strong. It makes you sick. Stress that stays trapped in your body doesn't just mess with your mood. It raises your blood pressure, taxes your heart, affects your immune system, and even messes with your memory. Women, on the other hand, are generally more likely to talk about what they're going through. They cry when they need to. They reach out to friends, and whether they realize it or not, they're giving their nervous systems a break. So if you're a man watching this, ask yourself, when was the last time you really let yourself feel something? When did you last open up to someone, not about the weather or the news, but about what's really going on inside you? You don't need to turn into a talk show guest overnight, but starting small, checking in with yourself, sharing with a trusted friend can have a powerful effect on your health. Another reason women tend to live longer? They see the doctor. I mean, really, how many times have you or someone you know avoided the doctor because it's probably nothing? Men are much more likely to skip checkups, ignore symptoms, and wait until something becomes a full-blown emergency. And by then, it's often too late. Women, on the other hand, are more likely to go in for that yearly exam, that mammogram, that blood pressure check. They catch things early, and early detection often means early treatment and better outcomes. This isn't about being paranoid, it's about being proactive. Let me tell you a quick story. There was a man named Walter, 72 years old, retired mechanic, strong as a horse in his younger years. He always said, "I don't need doctors, I've got a strong constitution." But when he started feeling tired all the time, getting dizzy when he stood up, he brushed it off. "It's just old age," he said. Turns out he had a serious heart issue that could have been managed if it had been caught earlier. By the time he got help, the damage was already done. Walter's story isn't unique, it's far too common. So if there's one thing I hope you take from this so far, it's this: don't wait. If something feels off, get it checked, and don't see it as a sign of weakness. See it as a sign of wisdom. Because being smart about your health is one of the strongest things you can do, not just for yourself, but for the people who love you. There's also the matter of lifestyle choices. For years, men were more likely to smoke, drink excessively, and take physical risks. Whether it was riding motorcycles without helmets, getting into bar fights, or working long hours without rest, these habits catch up with the body. The damage isn't always immediate, but by the time you're in your 60s or 70s, they've left their mark. Women, while not perfect, generally engage in fewer high-risk behaviors. And over time, that translates into better long-term health. But here's the beautiful thing about being in your 60s and beyond. It's not too late. Even small changes right now, like cutting back on alcohol, getting a little more sleep, or just moving your body each day, can add years to your life, and more importantly, life to your years. Now, if we keep following the thread of lifestyle, there's something else we need to talk about: movement. And not just the big things like going to the gym or running marathons. I'm talking about daily activity, the little choices that add up over time. You see, women, especially in older generations, were often the ones bustling around the house, cooking meals, gardening, cleaning, walking to the market. Their days involve constant low-level movement. And while it may not seem like much, that kind of steady activity keeps the body nimble, the joints oiled, and the blood flowing. Men, on the other hand, especially after retirement, often slow down. Once the job is done, the routine disappears. The recliner becomes a second home. And I get it, after decades of hard work, you deserve some rest. But the body isn't built for stillness. Muscles shrink, bones weaken, and before you know it, simple things like getting out of a chair or balancing while you put on your socks become harder than they should be. The good news? It doesn't take much to turn things around. A brisk walk around the block, a bit of stretching in the morning, carrying a few groceries or lifting light weights. Just 20 or 30 minutes of movement each day can help reduce your risk of heart disease, improve your mood, and even sharpen your memory. And more importantly, it helps you stay independent. That's the real prize, isn't it? Being able to move on your own terms without relying on others. That freedom is priceless. Speaking of independence, there's another area where women often take the lead, and it might surprise you: social connection. Now, I know some of you might be shaking your heads, thinking, I don't need a bunch of people around. I'm fine on my own. And hey, I hear you, but let's be real for a second. Loneliness is a silent killer. And not the kind where you're just enjoying some peace and quiet. I mean the deep kind, the kind where you feel isolated, unseen, disconnected from others. Studies have shown that chronic loneliness can increase your risk of early death just as much as smoking or obesity. It weakens your immune system, messes with your sleep, and even increases the risk of Alzheimer's. Women as a whole tend to be better at maintaining friendships, checking in on one another, joining clubs or groups, staying involved in their communities. That sense of connection creates a buffer, a web of support that carries them through tough times and helps them stay mentally and emotionally strong. But here's the thing, it's never too late to reconnect, whether it's picking up the phone to call an old friend, joining a local walking group, volunteering at the community center, or even just chatting with your neighbor. Those moments of connection matter. They remind you that you belong, that you're not alone, and that's powerful medicine. And while we're on the subject of mindset, let's talk about something you may not hear often, but it's important: purpose. A reason to get up in the morning. A reason to keep going. You see, women often find purpose in nurturing roles, raising children, caring for family, staying involved in their grandchildren's lives. These roles, whether they're big or small, give a sense of direction. And having a purpose, something that gives your life meaning, is one of the strongest predictors of long life. For men, especially after retirement, that purpose can feel a little lost. The job is gone, the kids are grown, the house is quiet, and without realizing it, you can slip into a kind of emotional drift. Days start to blur together. But here's the thing, purpose doesn't have to be grand or complicated. It can be tending a garden, fixing up an old car, mentoring a younger man, writing down your life stories to pass on. Even waking up and deciding, today I'm going to take better care of myself, can be enough to pull you forward. Let me share a quick moment that stuck with me. There was a man named Harold, 68 years old, who had just retired after 40 years of construction work. He was healthy, strong, and full of life. But within a year, his energy dropped. He felt restless, but also tired, a bit lost. Then one day, his daughter asked him to help her teenage son, Harold's grandson, build a treehouse. That one project lit something up in him. He didn't just build the treehouse. He started teaching his grandson how to use tools. Then he started hosting weekend workshops for other neighborhood kids. Before he knew it, he was the wise old builder on the block. His energy came back. His health improved. He found his spark again, all from one small sense of purpose. So if you're watching this and wondering why women live longer than men, the answer isn't just biology, it's behavior, connection, purpose, awareness, movement. These are the real factors, and they're within reach for anyone, man or woman, at any age. And maybe you're thinking, well, I haven't done any of this so far, so what's the point in starting now? But let me gently challenge that thought, because you still have time, and every single day you choose to live with a bit more intention, a bit more awareness. That's a victory. That's a day added not just to your life, but to the quality of your life. So take a moment and ask yourself, what small shift can I make today? What habit can I lean into, not for anyone else's approval, but because I deserve it? You've come this far and you've earned every wrinkle, every story, every scar, but there's still more road ahead. Let's make sure it's a strong one. And speaking of making the road ahead strong, there's one area we absolutely cannot ignore if we're serious about living longer and better. Stress. Now, I know we've all been through our fair share of it. Raising families, working hard, dealing with losses, facing health scares, life throws plenty our way. But here's what many people don't realize. How you respond to stress can literally shape your lifespan. Women, generally speaking, tend to have better coping mechanisms for stress. They're more likely to talk about their emotions, reach out for support, and express how they feel. Men, on the other hand, often internalize it. You may have grown up hearing things like, be strong, don't cry, handle it like a man. And while those sayings may have toughened you up on the outside, they can take a serious toll on the inside. Stress that builds up without release does damage quietly. It raises your blood pressure. It interferes with your sleep. It weakens your immune system. It even affects your memory and digestion. Over time, it wears you down, not just emotionally, but physically. It's like driving a car with the parking brake on. You might still move forward, but you're burning out the engine. So what can you do? First, know this: there is no shame in feeling overwhelmed. No shame in needing a breather. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. The real strength comes from recognizing when you need to slow down, to breathe, to reach out. Try something simple: a walk in nature. 5 minutes of quiet with your morning coffee, no TV, no phone, just you. Journaling your thoughts, practicing deep breathing, even a short prayer or moment of gratitude each day. These are not luxuries, they're lifelines, and they help train your body to come out of that constant state of fight or flight. Another key difference we see is healthcare behavior. It's no secret that women are far more likely to go to the doctor, get regular checkups, and actually listen to what their bodies are telling them. Men? Well, you probably already know where I'm going with this. There's this idea that going to the doctor makes you look weak. That pain is just something to tough out. But let me ask you, what's stronger? Ignoring a problem until it gets worse, or facing it head on so you can handle it before it gets out of control? Heart disease, prostate issues, colon cancer, diabetes. So many of these conditions can be caught early and managed well, especially with today's medicine. But only if you catch them early. The doctor is not your enemy. In fact, the right doctor could be your best partner in living longer. So make that appointment. Ask the questions. Speak up about what's bothering you. It's not a sign of weakness. It's an act of wisdom. And while we're talking about health, let's not forget something that's just as important as medicine: nutrition. The fuel we put into our bodies matters more than we often give it credit for. And here's where, again, women tend to be a step ahead. They're more likely to prepare balanced meals, watch their portions, include vegetables and fiber, drink water instead of sugary drinks. Over time, those habits make a real difference. For many men, especially after retirement, meals can become more about convenience. Quick snacks, processed foods, a couple of beers with dinner. But what you eat affects everything: your heart, your brain, your joints, your energy levels. Now, I'm not saying you need to start eating like a rabbit, but small changes go a long way. Maybe it's swapping one sugary drink a day for water. Maybe it's adding a few leafy greens to your dinner plate. Maybe it's cutting back on salt or choosing leaner cuts of meat. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Just start with one choice, one decision, then build from there. I want to share one more story that brings all of this together. It's about a couple, Frank and Ellen. They were married for over 50 years and they did almost everything together. But when Ellen passed away, Frank just faded. He stopped going out, stopped cooking real meals, skipped his doctor appointments. He said he felt like the wind had been knocked out of him. One day, his daughter gave him a little notebook and told him, "Dad, write down one thing you're thankful for every day. Just one." He started doing it, and after a few weeks, those one-liners turned into little stories. That got him writing letters to his grandkids. Then he started taking short walks to clear his head before writing. Then came healthier food choices, and then, eventually, a men's writing group at the local community center. Frank turned 88 last month, and he says, "I thought I was just waiting to die. Turns out I was waiting to live again." You see, it's not just about the number of years we have. It's about how we live those years. Women don't just live longer, they tend to live more engaged, more connected, more aware of their health and needs. But that doesn't mean men can't do the same. You can absolutely take back control of your health, your mind, your energy starting today. The truth is, longevity isn't a mystery. It's the result of small, consistent choices made over time. And no matter your age, it's never too late to start making those choices. So if you're sitting there wondering whether any of this really matters, let me tell you it does. Because you matter. Your story isn't over, not by a long shot. Whether you're 60 or 90, there's still time to feel better, think sharper, love deeper, and live fully. Now, if you've made it this far with me, first of all, thank you. It means you care. You care about your life, your health, and maybe even about someone you love who's wondering how to age well. That alone puts you ahead of the game, because the decision to care, to pay attention, that's where real change starts. Let's talk for a moment about something people don't often bring up when we talk about living longer: purpose. You see, science is now catching up to something many of us have always known. Deep down, having a reason to get out of bed each morning can actually add years to your life. It doesn't have to be something grand. You don't need to become a world traveler or launch a business at 80. It could be tending your garden, calling your grandkids every weekend, volunteering at your church, learning how to play an instrument, or even just writing your life story down for your family. That purpose, no matter how big or small, gives structure to your days and meaning to your time. Women often find this kind of purpose more naturally. They stay connected with their families, nurture friendships, and take on caregiving roles even as they age. It keeps them emotionally active, socially engaged, and mentally sharp. Men sometimes struggle here, especially after retirement. When the identity tied to a job or title fades away, there can be a sense of drifting. But here's the truth. Your value never retires. Who you are is not just what you used to do. It's what you still bring to the world. Your wisdom, your stories, your ability to listen, to mentor, to teach. There's a younger person out there, maybe even someone in your own family, who needs what only you can give. Never underestimate the impact of your presence. And let's not forget about movement. We touched on it earlier, but I want to circle back here because the body is meant to move, not to punish it or push it beyond its limits, but to remind it that it's still alive. You don't have to run marathons. Just take a walk, stretch your arms, dance a little in the kitchen while you wait for the kettle to boil. The key isn't intensity, it's consistency. Women tend to stay active in little ways: cleaning, gardening, walking with friends, even just moving around more throughout the day. It all adds up. So if you've been sitting more than moving, don't beat yourself up. Just stand up now. Take a lap around the room, look out the window, wiggle your toes. Every bit of movement tells your body, hey, we're still in this, and your body will respond with strength. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what's the point? I'm already in my 70s or 80s. It's too late for me. But let me gently push back on that. It's never too late not to feel better, not to reconnect, not to care for your body, your heart, or your soul. The clock doesn't stop until it stops. And as long as it's ticking, you've got choices. So let's recap, not as a list, but as a gentle reminder of what's within your reach. You can take better care of your body. You can ask for help when you need it. You can release stress instead of holding it in. You can nourish yourself with better food, better thoughts, better relationships. You can move a little more, laugh a little more, listen a little more. And above all, you can live on purpose with purpose. Women may have a natural edge in longevity. Yes. But men, you have the power to bridge that gap. You can borrow the best habits. You can build deeper connections. You can open up more. You can fight for your health, not with fists, but with knowledge, love, and discipline. And to all the women watching, you're already doing so much right. But never stop growing. Keep leading by example. Encourage the men in your life. Share this video with them. Sometimes the strongest influence we can have is just showing the way by living well ourselves. So here's what I'll leave you with. It's not about the years in your life, it's about the life in your years. If you start caring for your mind, body, and spirit, even in small steps, you don't just add more time to your life, you add more life to your time. And that's the real secret to longevity. That's the gift you give not just to yourself, but to everyone who loves you. If this message spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one change you're planning to make this week? Or what's one lesson you have learned from growing older? Your story might inspire someone else today. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more content just like this, and share it with someone you care about. Because aging isn't the end of the road, it's a beautiful, powerful chapter that you get to write. Here's to living your best, most vibrant life at any age.